Okay, thank you, Evaldas. Hello, everyone. So yes, I will try to present to you in 10 minutes the work of our life with Hervé and me working on this for nearly 30 years. So what is the problem where we started with IDMEFv1 and then v2 is the fact that the security now is completely partitioned. First, we had availability maybe around in the 90s with SNMP. Then in 2000 came cybersecurity everywhere. Now around 2010, it's physical security, and you have different systems monitoring the same assets, not always the same, but sometimes in common. And they have there is IoT coming on the right side, and it's not clear where you have to put it, and no communication between all the system. What is the consequence? Is now we are really in a converging world with IoT, IoT, everything is now with some kind of computer inside. You don't drive a car with a computer, you drive a computer with 4 wheels. There is so much computer inside your car, and it's the same for everything. But security management is still compartmented. You have cyber, physical availability, and hazard is not even really now in the game as it's coming very, very quickly. So it's difficult to prevent, detect, response to complex incidents or attacks. You have multiple formats. Even just in cybersecurity, there is plenty of formats. In physical security, there is a bit less availability, there is a little bit less, but still a lot of format, no possible cross-correlation. You have to change the team, you have to retrain a team every time they change. And it's very, if an incident is one step, it's okay, but if it's cyber and physical and all things, it's very difficult to detect. So here is an example. I won't go through all the point, but the idea is that if you are somewhere, if you are the director of a company, you have a server running, you want to know if it's working or not. And you don't really care if it's a problem of availability, of cybersecurity, physical, if there is a fire, if there is worst case scenario, a child in your data center. What you want to know if the server is running. And for the moment, depending on what's going on, it's either one team or another team or a third team who has information. And when sometime, for example, you can have a security problem, and on availability, they think there is a problem on the network card, but not the problem. It's because there is a DDoS, but they are not aware that there is a DOS on the server, etc., etc. So the idea is that all those incidents should be reported and detected in the same place. So what is the solution? A universal JSON format for all kinds of incidents. We can detail cyber IT incident, a physical incident like movement detector, badger, CCTV, availability, usual availability. And the good idea we found in a former research project was to add also hazard, because we're working on critical infrastructure, one in the middle of Finland and one in the middle of Greece, in the middle of a forest. And their problem, they were more scared of a wildfire than a cyber attack. And for Finland, the problem was heavy snow. So we had this idea that this should be added, and I will explain at the end of the presentation of the webinar why it is so important. So we have one single incident, and we have convergency on all the monitoring. Improve prevention, detection, reaction, and reduce cost, because instead of having 24/7 team for cybersecurity, for security, for this, you can have a first level, then second level, you need expertise. But the idea is to have one single level for the first step of the incident. So I would say less cost and more efficiency. So since we began to work on IDMF, there is always someone coming saying, wait, I know there is a solution, it's STIX. So for 7 years it was STIX. Now people are coming, no, there is a solution, it's OCSF. So this is why we work clearly on this to explain where each format is the better. It doesn't mean that everybody does that. Some people use STIX for detection, some people use OCSF for detection, but each one should have a role, and having one single format for everything is what some people have tried by the past, and they had problems, as we say. It's very complicated. It would need a huge format with all information. Our aim in IIDMEFv2 is to deal about detection. When we have analysis, we go back to Syslog or OCSF. When we have CTI, we count on STIX. We are not trying to do everything. We focus on detection. So OCSF and SIS is like for us, like a super syslog. So it's on the logging part. Then you have the detection, and it's very important to have end-to-end detection. So it's from the server to the operator. Some attributes are for calculation correlation. Some attributes are for the operator. Because you don't want to translate, to use an extra format in each SIM, the idea that each SIM using IIDMEFv2 will show the same display. So you have the same training, the same people expertise, you can have the same correlation rule, you can have plenty of things. Then when you have detected an incident, you can contact another analyst. It's human to human and not machine to human, and send IODEF. We also have a small extension in IIDMEFv2. If you either you can put an IIDMEFv2 attached to IODEF, or you can go straight with IIDMEFv2. It's less than IODEF, but it's if you want to have one single format also for the reporting, because we worked a lot on reporting. Then you create CTI with STIX, and then the CTI can go back to the SIM for correlation. So the idea is really to show we are not taking the place, and actually we are the only alternative there. We've been some partners have used this format in other digital research projects, European research projects, and the feedback is as well the same. When they propose IIDMEFv2, there is no discussion because there is no choice. If you want to do physical cyber availability and critical infrastructure, there is no choice. So what is the solution? One single format for all the detection. So we're using one single format to detail the incident, but for example, we keep SNMP for the monitoring, but then we transform SNMP in IIDMEFv2. And you can consolidate all the information in what we call a situational awareness platform, and we added, as I told you, ASA. So what is the story? You know the story from Hervé. He ended up, the first version was in 2007. Then later, around 2012, I found this RFC. I saw his name. I contacted him. I said, I want to keep working. So we're working on that for nearly 15 years. And the first version was mostly in open source project. So it had a little success, but it never came in the commercial world. Started IIDMEFv2 in 2020. There was a mix between this project around the format and another project with cyber and physical infrastructure. And there came the idea, instead of improving IIDMEFv2, we really enlarged the perimeter with, instead of intrusion, IIDMEFv2 was intrusion detection, now it's incident detection. So it's wider, and published the first draft. Now we are the 8th version, and we keep on tuning. So here are some examples. I won't go through all of it, but just to show, it's a little bit simplified. It's just to show that even if it's very powerful, it's not so complicated. It's just a combination of cyber incident, physical incident with geolocation, physical location, and correlation and detection with some attributes for correlation and detection. So it's one example. You see description, category, notes, etc., and someone connected on a server as a root at this time. And you see more or less the same information in the physical example. The idea is to use high-level concept that you can use in physical and cyber. And here you can see, for example, we can attach a picture from the camera. Availability is a bit the same. I want to insist it's always the same. There is this concept of target. So the target is what is impacted. So either it's impacted by an attack or it's impacted by an incident. It's always a target. It's the famous server we saw at the beginning. And what is interesting in the hazard example, it's often it's done before, because we have a heat wave in Europe right now, but we knew it few days before. So you create the incident before, it's created 2 days before the start, so it's a bit science fiction, but the idea is to have this information in your monitoring system before it happens, so you can have automatic air conditioning testing or things like that, prepare to stop some servers because you know it's going to be hot. So people are doing that right now, but all that is manually depending on the goodwill. Here you have everything automatized and like warning saying, okay, it's going to be very hot, please test this and that. So how do we use IIDMEFv2 in SAFE4SOC? In SAFE4SOC, we are connecting different SIEMs, Splunk, Radar, and ISS. We're transforming all the incident in IIDMEFv2. And to do that, we have 2 difficulties: attribute mapping, finding the good correspondence. I will talk about that at the conclusion, and incident category mapping. Because the idea is to have the classification of an incident in central SIEM is the most important. You don't need all the information, but at least to know what's going on. And yes, sorry. And what is very interesting in SAFE4SOC is that we had the format, but we had the missing link with the information sharing gateway developed by Fraunhofer. The idea is now that we have the same format for everyone, we can focus on filtering what has to be shared. I always say what happens in SOC stays in SOCs. SOCs, they don't want to share information, but thanks to the information sharing gateway, they're sharing only the essential information, and private information is kept in their own SOC. And that's really something that SAFE4SOC really brought, and it gives a wider perimeter for IIDMEFv2. So if you want to know more, you have the IIDMEFv2 website. The mailing list, of course, will be active even after the project, and the 2 RFC, the 2 IETF drafts on the IETF website. Thank you.